hit start.
Okay.
And we're up.
And we're on. Good afternoon and good evening. Croatia Czech Republic game is still 0-0. If I'm distracted, that's because that's what's playing on the other screen. Welcome to the closing session of the ISISA conference for 2021. It's kind of confusing because it was supposed to be 2020. It was wonderful to host you at least virtually when we couldn't do that in person, but there will be other opportunities for all of you to visit Newfoundland, I'm sure. And I am really pleased that we met so many of you, at least electronically. And I'm looking forward to hear how did Godfrey see this conference? Why don't you talk to us about the past week, Godfrey?
Thank you, Bojan. It's a pleasure to be here again. I said a few words on Monday, now it's Friday, and in between, bookended between those dates, a lot of things have happened. We have been sharing stories and sharing lessons on islands, about islands, for islands, with islands. You know, the prepositions are endless, but the island is there. And this is what we try to do in our conferences. We try to, at least for a few days, every so often, we try to focus and remind ourselves that islands can be the center, can be the focus, can be the point from which everything else follows. This is what island studies tries to do. It offers a different perspectives to other traditional disciplines or even non-traditional disciplines for that matter. This has been an interesting week. Of course, having been organized by Newfoundlanders, the stories are not lacking. We've tried to integrate them also in our fantastic program. It's a program that has departed from the traditional conference format, as we usually try to do with ISISA, by the way. But in this case, there has definitely been a local Newfoundland twist to the whole thing. Setting the stage with Michael Crummy, day one, talking about the Newfoundland genome and how to decode it. Speaking about the intricacies of island life, the tensions between natives and settlers and people coming from away or returning from away, as we heard. I'm sure that struck a chord with many. Then the following day, we had a fantastic keynote by Mimi Scheller, a well-accomplished and well-groomed academic who is associated with mobility theory. And she has offered us a reimagination of Caribbean futures in a scenario of the post-pandemic, focusing on mobility. Of course, mobility issues are central to island concerns. And therefore, when people find themselves partially mobile or totally immobile for some reason, then it's worth a critical analysis. We moved on. Come Wednesday, we had the Come From Away panel. The interesting story of the post 9/11 unfoldings in central Newfoundland, particularly in a place called Gander. I always thought that had something to do with geese, but no, this is something else. An interesting story. And that story that's now being shared and celebrated and enjoyed by thousands of people, of course, in its dramatic genre. On the same day, we had more island stories from a quilt collective. This is also something really interesting. It refers to a very old tradition, particularly gendered, of course, in this case. And we heard how these collectors developed their own stories in the context of the quilt. Of course, the quilt itself is a story, by the way. It's a way of memorializing events. Still on Wednesday, another fantastic panel moderated by the ever so vibrant and dynamic Ivan Emke, who I have known for many years, focusing on island songs. And this is, again, another way of connecting islands together. You can connect an islander with another through their music, through their lyrics, through what they sing about, how they sing, and the methodology that they use in foregrounding their island context into their emotional outbursts. Interspersed, of course, between all this have been the more traditional kind of paper formats. I counted around 90 of those papers that were delivered by very different people. I don't have a count of the number of islands or nationalities that have been present at this conference yet, but I'm sure it will run into dozens. I hope you have found the conversations enlightening and useful. Unfortunately, it's not always possible to plan a suitable response to one's paper. Some people feel disappointed because they may have prepared so much and then obtained a minimal response, but that is the nature of conferences. It would have happened anyway, even if it were not virtual. To make all this possible, of course, a lot of planning has taken place. I must refer to the planning committee. I don't think the planning committee has yet been mentioned as an object of thanks for this conference. I must acknowledge the fantastic work of Bojan First, of course, Mandy Rosell, Rebecca Coho, Flair Ward, John Duff, and supported from the ISISA side by Laurie Brinklow, our indefatigable secretary, as well as the intrepid newsletter editor, Anna Baldacchino, who happens to be my wife. That's why I left her for last. At the same time, we were also privileged to have a number of students presenting with us, those students for whom we even waived the conference fee. And I think this is a good time to ask those students who are still with us at this closing ceremony to share a few words about what their experience has been like. It doesn't have to be long, but it has to be, let's say, punchy, powerful. So shall I read out the names of the students, and if they are there, perhaps our IT guys can allow them to speak and perhaps even show themselves? Can we start with Kearney Copeland? Not there?
I'm not seeing Kearney there at the moment, but if anyone
right.
hears their name and I don't see you right away, please raise your hand and I'll pull you out of the list.
All right.
I will promote anyone to the panel so you can turn your video on.
Yeah. I have a gallery view, but I can't see everyone on the screen. Okay, so second on my list is Maggie Henry.
Got Maggie coming up onto the panel.
There she is.
I'm up. Hi, Godfrey.
Hi, Maggie.
I had to thank you, Mandy, for the heads up, because I don't do well if I'm put on the spot and I tend to waffle. So I just wrote a couple of quick notes so that I keep it succinct and hopefully kind of punchy. I just want to say thank you to ISISA for the scholarship and for this wonderful week. I'm sure a lot of us wish we could have been in Newfoundland in person. I know any opportunity to go back to my land of birth is always appreciated, but I do feel like there's a silver lining to going virtual, because it really opens up the opportunity for so many people to join us who may not have otherwise been able to. And there's so much, value in that. And I also want to just quickly thank Bojan and Mandy and the team, as you just did as well, Godfrey, for your amazing work over this week, but also the last months, and I guess in this case, years it's been getting prepared for this. So I guess this week, it's hard to know because it's still happening, right? It's still fresh, but I think it's been a really brilliant opportunity to learn and think, share, and even laugh together, which is, something that you don't always get when you're on a Zoom webinar or something. It's very structured and not so casual. So it's been nice to have human connections. And so in that way, it's been really enriching. And I think a really good reminder of how important it is and how valuable it is to explore and connect with each other in this way, because that's when the good ideas kind of click and you learn things you wouldn't have learned otherwise. And we all have so much to learn from each other, regardless of how long we've been, or as Jim said, how well done we are, or where we're coming to it from. And sorry, I won't go for too long because I don't know how many people are lined up. But my final note, I guess, would just be this week's been a really good reminder for me of island studies is kind of like an island in a way. It seems small, but when you look at all the connections, it's actually massive, right? And I've always been so appreciative of that, like to be able to learn in a classroom of 5 people from you, Godfrey, like who else can do that, in what field can that happen? And so this week, especially being able to, present and discuss my ongoing research, but for others to do that as well with some of the all-stars is so special. And I hope that, I don't know, it's just kind of nice to kind of sit back and remember that that's pretty wild. So I'm really grateful to Island Studies for that, and being such a welcoming and encouraging community, because it's also been a really supportive week for me.
Very well said, Meg, and it's always a pleasure to have you on board, and thank you for your assistance as well in making this conference a success.
Thank you.
The analogy of, the island is what it is. Very often it comes across as having to be small. It must be small if it's an island, but of course it isn't. And some islands are really big too. Let's move on. I'm told that Bobby Macaulay is also with us. There he is.
Yes. Thanks very much. Thanks, Godfrey, and thanks everyone. Thanks for the scholarship. It was excellent to be here, and I think for me, what I get out of this week is a sense of regret, and that regret is that I have not engaged in this conference more, and I think that's because of the nature. As much as it's fantastic to be online and to be able to attend, and for everyone to be able to attend when they might not have been able to, there's also a thing about it. I'm not in an island now. I'm not on an island. I'm sitting in a flat in a city, and it just made me reflect on that kind of concept of remoteness, and having a remote or digital conference, and the remoteness being that you're far away from where you want to be. And right now I'm far away from where I want to be, which is on an island with all the rest of you at this conference. And just being surrounded by island and having nothing else to do but be in an island, on an island. And so I think my regret is that I've had other things on. I've had deadlines, I've had papers to write, I've had funding bids to do, and various things on, and I haven't given the time that I should have done to this, because there's other priorities. And really what I should have been doing, and what I think is great about in-person conferences, is that you are exactly where you need to be, you're exactly where you should be, and you're surrounded by those people that you want to be surrounded by. And I think that's a thing, at the risk of overextending the metaphor, I think that's the thing about living on an island, where you're not stuck, you're just rooted. You're where you want to be, and so there's nowhere else to go. And I very much look forward to COVID being over and to attending the next ISISA conference, and to being rooted in an island for a week where I don't have regrets about having done other things over this week, and I can just be, surrounded by it. So I suppose it's partly an apology, but it's partly a thank you for giving me the opportunity to attend, and a commitment that I will do better next time. But thank you.
Bobby, in a way, I think you captured the sentiment of a number of us, myself included, because of course, since the conference is virtual, we could allow ourselves to get distracted, not necessarily for our benefit and pleasure, but the temptation is there because we are not in Newfoundland. And I assure you, I have been to Newfoundland, and if you haven't visited, you have to visit. It's a fantastic place with great people. And I'm curious to ask you, in which town or city are you? Glasgow, Edinburgh?
I'm in Glasgow.
Okay.
Yes, it's only half full now because everyone's gone to London. But it may have slightly filled up with Czech and Croatian fans right now anyway. Sorry.
Well, good luck for Scotland in the Euro 2020s.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That's exactly what we needed.
Right, let's move on. And from Bobby, I go to Shiva Mohan, if she is with us. I don't think so. Okay. So we move on to Izumi Nonaka. Izumi is a student at the University of Malta from Japan.
Thank you so much for scholarship. Such a poor senior PhD students. During this conference, I learned to be a good presenter. Firstly, the most important thing is content. And I learned a lot, especially other PhD students. And secondly, how to give a good presentation. And recently, I noticed what is a technique. It means just practice, especially for the international students. And third one is listening a lot of excellent presentation. In that meaning, this conference was so fruitful. And I learned new English phrases under great leadership of the name of supervisor. So this is because under great leadership of my MS supervisor and my PhD co-supervisor to keep anonymous or opt to choose non-anonymous. I don't know which one you like, but thank you, Godfrey.
Izumi, thank you so very much. Izumi is sharing with us one of the problems that she actually has in carrying out her research, how to anonymize somebody who is a senior management official of a fairly well-known company. So how can she write about a case study that wants to be anonymous if it's splashed all over the papers? I mean, it's a delicate methodological quandary she's facing. Thank you, Izumi. And of course, I welcome you acknowledging this community of PhD candidates. It's already a fairly narrow field when we deal with island studies. So PhD candidates in that field are an even smaller community. So this is one opportunity for them to get together and learn from each other and get to know each other in that way. We move on to Alicia Norega.
Well, thank you so much, Godfrey. Hi, everyone. I would like to thank the organizers for this conference for doing such a great job, and for you all awarding me this award so that I could have been part in this. My name is Alicia Norega. I am from Trinidad and Tobago, Caribbean islands, twin island country. I am currently studying at the University of New Brunswick, and it's so happy to be here. I must thank Dr. Michael Corbett for introducing me to island studies. Prior to that, I didn't even realize it was a field. So when I embarked on my study, I was only thinking of rurality and did not look at my research and research site as being in an island context. I'm so happy that he introduced me through it so that I could have done an intersectional approach to including island studies and rurality. Being an islander, studying on an island, but being in New Brunswick, although there were a lot of connections based on rurality and the situation back in Trinidad and Tobago, I was not able to have that direct connection to island studies. And this allowed this forum for me. This conference allowed me to make that connections. I was so appreciative of the direct and indirect connections I was able to make to my research. And then more so to just me being an islander, a lot of the conversations that were held based on research and whatnot, whatever, I could have connected to what I could have recalled and brought back to my experience back home. It has been almost 3 years since I've been able to go home. I haven't been able to visit. My planned visit had to be canceled because of COVID-19. So the conference, brought back reflections of back home. I must say it made me miss home a bit more, but it initiated that reflection to what was back home. And I must say I was truly appreciative of that. During listening, I took down so many, especially citations from authors that were cited at presentations. So I now have a list of authors and years that I want to go back to as I pursue my doctoral study and get my dissertation ready. It was also so pleasing to put faces to persons, especially you, Godfrey, that I've cited so much in my writing, but never saw the person, didn't put a face to my writing. So it was.
I hope I didn't disappoint you.
Yes, no, not at all. So it was so pleasing to be able to put faces to the people that I have been reading and citing all this time. So I'm happy to be in this virtual space. I have not been able to visit Newfoundland. I was so elated when I received the award in 2020 thinking I would have been able to travel and visit beauty. I've heard about it, wanted to travel, unfortunately not. So I look forward to next year. Everything goes well. I want to be there next year. Hopefully we could be in this in a physical space then. Thank you.
That's wonderful, Alicia. Thank you so much. I'm glad you stumbled on island studies. So please, my sincere thanks to your tutor who offered you the leap to a new world beyond rurality. Wonderful. Great. I have Brady Podlosky on my list. No, he's not here. And last but not least, we have Fleur. Fleur has been supporting the planning committee from day one. Fleur Ward, floor is yours.
Yeah, so as Godfrey said, my experience with ISISA is quite long, especially for this conference, and it's been a fantastic experience. And what I'm actually going to miss is getting together with so yourself and Mandy and Laurie and Boy and every other month and having a little chat to start off things, because that's been lovely. And I mean, it's been over, what, nearly 2 years that we've been trying to organise this conference. Very long time. So that's going to be something I actually miss. But otherwise, it's been a wonderful opportunity. I'm coming to the end of my PhD. So for anyone who's done PhDs or masters, you know that it becomes very intense at the end and you just become very focused. And this has been a wonderful break. And it's been a lovely time to engage with other people's research and see all the wonderful things that are going on outside my own little bubble at the moment. So it's been wonderful to also travel virtually to other places and go to all these wonderful other islands that none of us can get to at the moment. So it's been fantastic for that. And also this afternoon with things like the New Researchers Forum, which is a great place to learn a few extra bits, tips going forward. Things like just read, just keep on reading. Keep on learning, keep on sharing your research with others. Fantastic things to move forward on. But yeah, I've had a wonderful experience. Thank you very much for the scholarship. Really enjoyed it. And I hopefully we can get together next time in person.
Thank you so much, Fleur. If you want to carry on getting involved in a planning committee, I can always recommend you to join the new planning committee. They will be having work to do between now and next year. They will be, deciding on programs, receiving abstracts, adjudicating abstracts, negotiating with bus drivers, ferry companies, hotels, I don't know. So this is part of the fun of organizing a physical conference now, hopefully.
I would need to work
goes.
on my Croatian, Godfrey.
You can practice with Bojan.
Must do.
If he still remembers Croatian, I'm not sure, because he's been out of the loop for a while now. And of course, speaking of Croatia, it's my pleasure as well to formally announce that the next ISISA conference 2022 will take place in Zadar and its archipelago. Now, I'm being very careful how I present this, because this is going to be a very interesting ISISA conference. It's not going to be on an island. It's going to be on a mainland and on islands at the same time, within the same conference. So we're going to try and live the archipelago experience. We're going to try and integrate within this conference part of the dynamics, part of the logistics and mechanics of having islands that are obviously related to a city, a coastal city, in this case Zadar, and the comings and goings and the interrelations and the politics and the hierarchies and the logistics involved in all that. So this is part of the fun, I think, that awaits us in Zadar. The organizing committee is led by Anitsa Chuka and Tomislav Oroz. They are from the University of Zadar, one of the oldest universities I found out in Europe, going back to the late 1300s, imagine. And they have been supported all along by, I'm sure there are lots of people involved. There's also another fellow called Josip Faricic that I have exchanged emails with from the university. But from the ISISA executive side of things, of course, we have our own Croatian member, Dr. Nens Starts, emeritus professor at the Institute of Economics in Zagreb, and he has been instrumental in supporting and facilitating the organization of this event. So I'm going to hand over to Nens, I believe, first. Am I correct, Boyan? Or not?
I don't know.
You don't
I
know?
think so. Where is Nance?
Okay.
I just brought Nance up onto the panel.
Yes,
Nance is probably
Nance.
just trying to compose himself after that ridiculous penalty, but that's not here, not there.
What happened? Have the Croatians scored?
No,
Unfortunately, no, but Czech did.
The Czech
Oh my
did.
gosh. Okay, so I
A
hope
non-existent penalty.
he still wants to speak to us.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Nance, would you like to say a few words before we hand over to your colleagues?
Well, we already talked about it, and we are really going to kind of live with the subject of what we have been researching. And this is to be our experiment. And we have experience with 2 tourists. And so from the logistics side, we do not expect particular problems, but we do expect fascinating discussions on boats, on particular islands, on the spot. And this nomadic conference is going to bring a special experience, I do hope.
Nance, I have a very serious question for you. How is the beer in Zadar?
There are 10
breweries.
10 cafes per square 100 meters, each one having at least 20 sorts of beer, you know, so from all kinds.
Only 20.
Yeah, over 20, definitely. So it is no problem at all. But I also remind you that you are in Dalmatia, and that the Dalmatian wines are there as well, you know, so I wouldn't...
Now you're talking.
Disregard that, you know, I wouldn't disregard
You didn't put that in the conference bid. You didn't tell us anything about beer and wine.
If I may add, I'm sorry, we also have a university wine. So we also produce wine.
Really?
Yes. And it's excellent. But you will have to come here to taste it. I'm sorry.
Yes, exactly. It will be part of the conference package.
Yeah, but no virtual conference.
Yeah, okay, and almost every island has a particular grappa brandy, you know, which is then flavored with always carefully selected and top secret, you know, spices and grasses, etc. And each island has its own brand of it, and we will have a chance to try a whole line of such liquors and grass brandies, grappas, and so you'll forget about beer very soon there, don't worry.
Thank you for that appetizing and tempting introduction to Zadar 2022. Right. I think it's time to hand over the baton, the responsibility, the burden of organizing the conference. We thank the current burden holders, standard bearers, what shall we call them? The intrepid team at Memorial University at the Leslie Harris Center. They've been wonderful in spite and because of the technology. It's been a really very different experience, but nevertheless an experience. And I congratulated Mandy on smiling through the whole week. She's managed to keep up her wonderful smile, certainly from Monday to Friday. Now, thank you so much. And I'm sure my colleagues join me in thanking you all.
Okay.
Fantastic.
So,
now here we come. This is the moment that we have been waiting for.
Yes.
So
here it is. The ISISA flag. I'm going to fold it. And the ocean's that way. So it should be coming from your left. Might take a while.
Oh, it comes. Oh. Here it is. Well, thank you for ISISA flag. It was very fast.
It was fast.
Oh my gosh. Really?
Thank you.
Wow.
We will put it at the university building, and as soon as we do it, I will send you a photo with it. So you can put it on, at least on Facebook page of ISISA. And we are looking forward to have a great conference next year.
So are we. So
Yeah,
are we.
and I hope it will not, actually not that I hope, it will not be virtual, it will be face-to-face.
Yes.
So those of you still not jabbed, guys, go and get jabbed. Another additional incentive. Excellent. Right. So
Good
I
luck,
think
folks.
we can bring the formal closing ceremony to a close.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? Yes.
It does.
And we can migrate to a casual social after conference platform. Perhaps Bojan, you can share the link with us just in case.
It's
we've
in
lost
your
it.
program at the bottom of the last session.
Okay. There it is.
And
Thank you,
right
Mandy.
here if you want
Always to
do
the
that.
rescue, Mandy. Even when Bojan doesn't deliver, you come to the rescue.
Always. The deal always was to blame me for everything that doesn't go right. So.
Including the game against the Czech Republic.
Yeah, no, that's not my fault. That's on referee. Alrighty. See you, folks. Thank you, everybody.
See you soon. Thank you. Well done.
Thank you.